Blessings, y'all. I wanted to share with you my latest and then explain why I wrote it. Corporations and oligarchs disperse at the government's heel, begging for a bailout. Still, what was invested is now at a loss. Dow's plummeting, stocks crashing, and all concern for workers. Tossed. Without a people capable and allowed to shop, their wrecking ball is doomed to fall with a boiling drop. Gluttons like these thrive off of protecting the interest of those belonging to the club. Touching any and every surface, our hands should be joined with soap and water in a constant 34-second scrub to get rid of all of the filth and germ which comes from their multifaceted lie. They don't represent the people, but they do want us to buy and buy. This is merely corporatism, featured on a marquee of cartoon scientism. Knowledge like this proves sluggish and superficial, for it dares not to concern itself on any matter outside of the profit judicial. Profits over people, profits over people, profits over people is the message they exclaim. The leaders of the free world attempts not to remind people of this freedom. Instead, they downplay the circumstance of real-time desperation. Didn't you hear them say, business as usual in 14 days? We got to get back rolling. TV ratings and census numbers are still polling. The dice is on ice. Thrills for the bills, honey, but without the money. Markets may be crashing, but they want your labor to be lashing and steadily cashing. They dump billions and trillions for leisure sport. The teammates, janitors, and audience don't even own a stake in the court. These frauds deal with mafia-stained hands. They handle not with care, but with germ bans, infecting the oppressed with flame-thrown missiles dripped in sanctions. It's all terrible. While remaining grotesque, fallacious, and absurd, I could only wish this was a J.C. parable. But alas, two factions of one party operating to protect the business class. They've already kicked some serious ass, and they don't flinch an inch to give anyone a basic safety net. To them, we're the captured ones and are the real threat. To them, we're the animals in the pen. Except this pen has no paper, no Windows ink or vapor. Do you happen to need gas? Well, I'm pretty sure the government will pass, for they only give us the crumbs. They acknowledge not the ghettos or slums. With a thick boot cuffed against our necks, they scoff at the idea of cutting anyone checks, which forces many to scramble and hunt. This will leave many famished, desperate, and gaunt. This liquid is clogged and chunky, unwilling to strain. Now the people are forced to rally against the grain, only to return back to empty grocery aisles, remembering and never forgetting the smiles which were traded in for lengthy, troublesome miles. For we are dealing with misfortune and a headache. Some of us are coughing and can't catch a break. TV propaganda paired with real-time danger and panic. The ghost of misery has formed into an animalized manic. We are witnessing an unprecedented monstrosity. We've welcomed a world of new and furloughed paucity. Now we are all trapped shut. I, for one, am looking to burn down the empire of the glut. Although locked in a cage, featuring bird mentality and all the rage. As for the red, white, and blue, didn't you get the clue? This is a platinum zoo. I feel like that had to be, presented and demonstrated. And I'm doing this in light of what we are now required to do in some places. I feel like a lot of people are just putting on masks, taking precautions, not trying to expose themselves. We're entering a new world. This is something unprecedented, as I mentioned in my poem. I'm not going to talk this whole video like that. But yeah, this is definitely something we're feeling. And when I wrote Platinum Zoo, I had no idea what it would be. It just started out as Platinum Zoo. And then thinking about it, it came to be. And today is also April 4th, which was the day Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. I always think about MLK because He did so much, and he's seen as an emblem, but I think a lot of us forget so many aspects of his legacy. For one, he wasn't just trying to help us see beyond the bullshit of racism. He fought for social and economic relief for the poor. I mean, he did so many different things, and he did it in such a nonviolent way. He wasn't coming out there. I mean, I understand Martin and Malcolm, so I ain't here to really. I can go on and on about both of my heroes, but I can also just simplify what I'm saying by saying this. The differences are now really being made known now because we're seeing just the concerns. I think this thing is common. You look at reality and things happen and we don't expect a lot of the things that happen. They just happen and we have to respond to them. And then also things are cyclical. They follow a code or algorithm. So while we're not really always shocked and surprised by the things that happen, we're also sort of like not really counting on the time to give us whatever random delivery of misfortune it might deliver. And especially right now, around the world, it's not just America. I'm speaking of America because I live here, but there are people in every part of the world that are feeling this thing. So we're all scattered in this randomized melodic song. And realization really becomes clear when you see, you look at what they're doing, and I can't help but mention Prince because there are two songs I want to mention specifically. First is Old School Company, which was released in 2009. Now remember, around that time there was a corporate bailout, much like what we dealt with just now. And he said, everybody talking about hard times like it just started yesterday. People I know, they been struggling. At least it seemed that way. Fat cats on Wall Street, they got a bailout. Why somebody else got to wait? 700 billion of my old neighborhood ain't nothing changed but the date. I might be getting the lyrics a bit wrong, but essentially he's saying, we've been doing this thing for a while. Now that was 10 years ago. Now even 11 years ago. And there's definitely going to be an economic recession, depression as well. I mean, there are already around 10 million people in America that's lost their jobs. So this is affecting a lot of people, and there's going to be a lot of sadness. There's a lot of just anguish. And when we look at what the government's response is, which is bailing out the corporations, it's like, yeah, this is definitely a platinum zoo. But there are also other places in the world. I feel like governments as a whole really underestimated this thing. Viruses has happened before, but COVID-19 is definitely something different. So there are a lot of layers and nuances to this thing, but we're all together in this thing at the same time. We're all feeling this sort of isolation. A lot of us are bored out of our minds. Some of us are still working because they're essential workers, but there's also the need for people to organize. MLK and Malcolm X both had to organize. The government didn't just give it to them. And that's not what they're going to do now. I mean, this is definitely an interesting point. And I feel there's just so many emotions stirring. And I wanted to just make this video to share that poem with you, Platinum Zoo. Again, I post on every 7th, 7, 14, 21, 28, but today I'm actually posting and it's the 4th because I don't always do that. Just follow my website or follow me here on YouTube just to catch on. Getting back into making videos. It's not something I do often since I write, but I do enjoy kind of talking like this instead of writing sometimes because it's a bit easier. And there's just something about flowing, like I'm just talking, I'm going all over the place. That's why I say uniformed and random, because the writing is the uniform. The random is the video. But I do send my blessings, and I do hope. Oh, I'm not going to forget the other Prince song because I talked about Old School Company. The next one, which I'm going to play a bit of, hopefully YouTube is cool. I'm not going to play the whole thing. This is considered fair use. United States, something red, white, and blue. I never knew, he says. He goes on to say, I was different till Dr. King was on the balcony, lying in a bloody pool. And so, again, MLK was organizing for justice. And he still ended up being assassinated by the FBI, I might add. These are realizations that are easily findable online. You know, I'm not saying this as somebody with some sort of conspiracy, although there are conspiracies, and not all conspiracies are invalid. You know, the idea of forming a hypothetical equation, especially as it relates to the government, like, do you really believe you're not being lied to? Like, we are being lied to. This is not to sound like I'm paranoid or that I'm sort of even cynical, but I do think in being objective, we have to realize some things we get left out of. And like George Carlin said, it's a big club and you ain't in it. You're not in it. You know? The business class, they really have more power than I think a lot of us think. And then also propaganda, the media, the way they're able to form a message. I mean, anyone can form a message in any kind of way. And the way you perpetuate that is interesting. Wow, I can go on and on about this, but I'm just going to stop right there and send my blessings. But I do want to send respect to the family of also Bill Withers. Blessings to Bill Withers. I've been listening to him a lot because he transcended just yesterday. And wow, just listening to all of his songs, like Lean On Me is such a good song, of course, and you think of Use Me. There's also a Prince connection. You know, Prince performed Use Me quite often during the piano microphone, which was pretty cool. I've seen him rehearse that a couple of times, and that's just an amazing performance. And also, Lovely Day, you know, there's so many songs Bill Withers created, and I think his music is just very needed at this time, very emotional. He definitely made me cry just this morning, which I needed. I think sometimes we need that good cry, you know, and it's been a while since I had that, and he definitely helped with that. So this is a time where we're all feeling it, y'all. We going through it. But we're also aware of the tools that we have inside. And may we all create. I'm not ever going to be the person to say, I've seen some people say, oh, this is the time you need to be creative. If you ain't writing, if you ain't doing something, then something wrong. It's like, not really. Not everyone has to create or just go out on something. You know, sometimes you just need to chill, take it easy, you know. We're not entitled to do anything specifically in a moment like this. This is a pandemic. It's also a moment of reflection. Some things need to be slowed down, and we definitely got to slow down. But we're also at a fervent pace, responding to the rapid changes of everything around us. So, peace and love. I send you blessings, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Share with me in the comments. You know, let me know where you're going, what's been up. I'm making it a point to make more videos, even though this video is probably a month or two after the one I said I was going to make another video. Blessings.